her family's home. I'm sorry. In the meanwhile, her Jeez. Thanks for being patient with me, folks. She had moved to Tallahassee, Florida. In the meanwhile, her family's hometown. Authorities, Leon County Sheriff's Department, admitted that NSA had sent representatives to town for a secret exercise just when civilian mercenaries called InfraGard and run by the FDLE Fusion Center. Suddenly renewed her slander and stalking harassment campaign 24/7. A few months later, directed energy weapons were added to the daily assaults, severely damaging her health. She began speaking out and doing interviews in earnest after she learned how many innocent people were being attacked and harmed in such a cowardly and despicable way by a rogue, seditious government faction. This faction, called the Deep State, was secretly subverting rule of law and destroying America through the use of gullible, useful idiot Americans pitted against innocent, decent people to keep the foolish masses occupied, chasing their tails and destroying their best citizens. This is very well written, Karen. Thus, the Idiot Brigade is facilitating the Deep State taking control and turning the U.S. and elsewhere into a police state to serve depraved, elitist psychopaths desiring to reduce the population into mindless drones by using the dregs of society to murder the best of society. So usurped rule could never again be successfully challenged and returned to we the people. She has vowed to speak out as long as it is useful. Wow, folks, thanks for sticking with me through that. I appreciate it. So I want to welcome you.
My pleasure.
Karen, thank you very much for being on the show and being patient with me on this first time live streaming here while I'm trying to figure out all of the stuff that, Jason Goodman does so well. So I am going to add you to... There you are. Okay. I am not seeing you on my screen right now. Okay. Why am I not seeing you on my screen? Okay. This
video on your end and radio on mine.
I see. Yeah, I see you here. And I'm not seeing you. And I tested this yesterday, actually, with another Skype account, and it worked perfectly. So I'm not sure what I'm doing different, but I'm not going to say that anything's being done here other than me messing this up.
I don't know.
Yep, I don't know either. So, okay, so maybe what we should do so we don't keep everybody waiting is I'll just I'll make sure our volume is good, and then we can go ahead and just start our conversation. Gosh, I apologize for this. Whoa, now my camera is frozen. Now my camera's frozen. All of this worked perfectly yesterday. I tested it several times.
Well, I'm up for whatever you want to do. We can try again, or we can continue. Whatever you want to do.
Okay, well, let's do this. I'm going to hope that this audio is still going, and if they ruined this, that I've tried, I worked on this 10 times yesterday, made sure it was done correctly. So let's just keep going, and maybe while you are going over some information, I can try to figure this out. Go ahead and I'm sorry, folks. Thank you again for coming to the show, Karen. I appreciate it.
Sure.
And I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor, and you can go ahead and tell us a little bit about your story, and then you and I can talk later about some of the things that we said we were going to cover.
Okay. All right. Well, the basics in the bio. And I am a advisory board member for Targeted Justice, and Targeted Justice is a group of people trying to put together a class action lawsuit, because what has happened to me has happened to, and we're estimating right now, maybe 500,000 people, except they weren't all NSA analysts. But what you've got here is a smattering of whistleblowers and maybe journalists who ask the wrong questions, according to someone, or people who even at a town hall meeting ask the wrong questions. You know, you've got these people who are being targeted illegally, immorally, unethically, and unconstitutionally for harassment by local officials who have connections to the with population. You know, so much population, you might have one fusion center, and you have a lot more population, you might have two. But these things were created because after 9/11, the congressional committee who was looking into it decided that they didn't have feds or local law enforcement talking to each other, and that's why 9/11 happened. Well, that's not why it happened, but let's go with that for a while. So they created these fusion centers where feds and local law enforcement could get together, compare informations they were gathering, and decide if there was a threat somewhere that they all needed to know about. Unfortunately, what really happened is that the Department of Homeland Security, which is over the FBI and FBI fusion centers, decided to enact something that they borrowed from the German Stasi, or the East German secret police, and that is a word that's, I'll say it in German, Zersetzung, and that is a psychological warfare tactic where the East German police would take a dissident who wanted to be free and wanted East Germany to be free, and they would circulate all kinds of vicious rumors about the person, and they would have people turn on him or her and isolate him or her and just pick and pick and pick and pick at them 24/7. They wouldn't get the services they paid for. They'd be insulted and harassed on the street and in their home. And so what their intention was to drive them absolutely crazy and discredit them, and also to make sure that they lost their jobs, they lost their homes, became homeless, and were driven to suicide. So that's how the East German police decided to use, well, basically to get rid of their dissidents. And then they could basically claim, oh, must have been mentally ill, so sorry, too bad, instead of the fact that they had a concerted effort for months or years to destroy the person. Well, our Department of Homeland Security has also taken that, and they're using it, not against terrorists, but against regular Americans. And I was thrown into that when I asked too many questions, like, why in the world would somebody else get a double promotion for my work?
Yes.
Well, how dare I? How dare I ask that question? You know.
Now, what you were just saying about Zersetzung, and I can never pronounce it correctly, but I do use that word a lot. I tell people about this, and I tell them what exactly what you just said, that what's happening here in the United States was done in World War II, Nazi Germany, and everybody hates Hitler so much, but they're so ready to be part of this program that mimics it exactly, and they don't really get that. And so I'm trying to help them understand that, and you're trying to help them understand that this is the same thing here. It's just much more covert. I can't say it's much more covert because I wasn't in World War II Nazi Germany, you know. But I'm pretty sure they didn't have iPhones and apps on their phone to track people going into restaurants and stuff like that. So I want to pause real quick. I flipped up the app here. I think it shut off our live stream and it came back on, and I can see you perfectly, and you are live now. So
okay.
And you have been since you've been talking. So it just cut out for about 5 seconds, and we are back. So so for the people that are just tuning back in, and you caught that first part of what Karen is talking about, she's talking about organized stalking harassment, something that I have made hundreds and hundreds of videos about, something I realized that I was part of in April of 2017 when my world came crashing down and I started understanding what had really happened. And actually, Karen was the very first video. When I looked up stuff on narcissistic behavior. I looked up FBI investigative tactics. I looked at all these different things, and I can't remember what it was that I searched that your video came up, but it said former NSA Karen Milton Stewart explains gang stalking, and I thought, okay, I have a pretty extensive vocabulary. If I don't know what the word is, I'm going to go research that. I looked it up. I watched your video, and while you were speaking, you were explaining what was going on in my life, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my God, there's somebody else. There's two of us. And then I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And and here we are talking about it. And it's been interesting. So, but I'm glad that whatever road took to meet people like you, I'm glad I'm here. Let's see here. What I don't know if we got to see that last graphic. I made a graphic for Karen. Oh wait, no, I better not mess with that. We'll just go ahead and keep. Right now they can see both of us on the screen here. So.
Right. Well, let me clarify that in Nazi Germany, the precursor to Zersetzo were the brown shirts. Okay, the brown shirts were usually youths who were told to go out and harass people. A lot of Jews, but other people too. So that was the precursor to the Zersetzung from the communist East Germany that was taking out dissidents. So there's a history there.
Do you know if those people got paid covertly? Like,
very likely they did. I can't give you proof right now, but if you think about communist East Germany, no one had money. I mean, only the 1% who were ruling had any type of benefit. So and that's the way they liked it. So you would have to go to people and say, hey, would you like to actually be able to access a place where you can buy milk and eggs? Then do this for us.
Yep, they'd be very easily manipulated because the economy was so bad, there were no jobs. They'd say, well, it's either food in the refrigerator or I'm going to be one of these people that we're going after. And it kind of seems like that's what's going on right now with these folks. And some of them, in my personal experience, talking about the organized stalking harassment, out in public, it seems like some of them are actually narcissists, and they enjoy it. I'm sorry, my battery just said that it's going low. That doesn't make any sense. I have it plugged in. Okay.
Uh-oh.
All right, that's all right. And then some of them seem like they feel remorse and they don't want to be there, and they're going through the motions. Like there was a veteran that had a prosthetic leg. He was for sure a gang stalker. They were in Walmart. They were pointing the phone at us and stuff like that. And he saw I was wearing my Air Force hat. I was with my daughter buying her school supplies, and I saw the look on his face just kind of drop, like, oh, geez, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? But most of them, yeah, it's not that. Anyway, I don't want to get into the minute little situations that happen, right now.
In my opinion, what we're looking at is a society that has pretty much been dumbed down. We don't know our own history. We don't know who or what we are. We don't know the principles upon which our nation was founded. And we've been taught to be sociopaths to some degree,
Yeah.
A psychopath is born, and that means the brain is twisted and there's nothing to do about it. You can actually create a sociopath by having a sociopathic society. Even though I think some of those are born as well, but you can also create a lot more of them. And that's the place where we are right now in society. We've become extraordinarily selfish and self-centered. And when somebody comes to you, like the FBI or the Fusion Center comes to your church or to your Masonic lodge or to, PTA or something and says, we've got this really terrible person and we can't do anything about them legally, and that should ring a bell there. It should ring an alarm bell.
Exactly.
But they keep on, and they say, but we can't do anything about them legally. You know, that pesky Constitution thing. So we're just going to pay you under the table to viciously harass them and punish them for whatever it is that they claim that you've done. And I would add at this point that there is a law firm called Bernhoft Law that actually took on a case. The man was targeted by the IRS. The IRS knew he had done nothing wrong, but they wanted to take his business. It was just asset seizure. So they put a contract out on him and had a Maine Fusion Center fabricate a dossier on his wrongdoing, and then they proceeded with this fabricated dossier knowing it was a lie and tried to take his business. Well, he got a lawyer. I forget the man's name. It might be Robert Bernhoft, but he investigated and he basically found out all of this, that that a Maine Fusion Center had fabricated charges that the IRS was using to try to steal the man's business merely because they could, or they thought they could. And so that was one heck of a revelation, that the fusion centers have a Maine Fusion Center where you put a contract out on somebody and they fabricate the reason to go after them. So anyway, they then go out to the community. And not only do they inform the InfraGard, which are mercenary stalkers who are attached to the fusion centers, but then these people go out and tell the community that you're some kind of monster who needs to be punished. And it occurs to all of us. And like I said, there are about 500,000 people in the United States who are being victimized and targeted. And what we want to know is, what the heck is the lie? You know, because it's incredible. But I think more so than the lie, it's the money. And it's the promise that they cannot be prosecuted, which in and of itself is a lie.
Yes, because and they can't keep things classified to hide the law being broken too. So, especially if they're involved in violating U.S. Code 18, Section 241 and 242. Which
is conspiracy, yes, to deprive someone of their civil rights.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this is. So these people. Now, this is something that I think you had posted a while back, and I did some research on it, and it made perfect sense. So these folks could possibly be getting paid with gift cards to carry out some of these gang stalking tactics, the skits, the street theater, the directed conversation that they use on me, and that I've heard other people talk about. And I researched William Patrick Cox, the undefined business that is in 46 states in the United States, and they are operating under Lockheed Martin, I believe, if I did my research right.
Yeah, William Patrick Cox is a Lockheed Martin executive, and he's in charge of gang stalking. He's in charge of remuneration for gang stalking in 46 states, and what it looks like is that they funnel government money through Lockheed Martin, and then they buy gift cards, and they also pay for services. I mean, the amount of money you get depends on what the heck you're doing for them.
Yeah.
You know, if you're stalking somebody, 6 hours a week for them, then you get a gift card. If you're a neighbor who's situated right next to him, which is a prime job, then you're given a directed energy weapon to keep on them 24/7, and you'll get maybe $1,000 or $2,000 a month, or you might get a new roof, or you might get a new riding lawnmower. But it's very interesting because when these scumbags move into a neighborhood, then they go door to door and they try to enlist people's help. And if people won't help, then they'll tell them, okay, but we're reading a national security letter, and this is a gag order. If you tell anybody what we're doing, then we're going to put you in prison.
Yep.
So, or they may go to other neighbors where they're not in a prime position to help, but they tell them, this is what's going on in the neighborhood. If you say anything, we'll put you in prison. So then they make arrangements. They say, we'll arrange for new carpeting, or we'll arrange for a new car, or we'll arrange for a loan for your child to go to law school or something like that if you do this for us. And so, they're getting paid. You're
it's
absolutely
funny.
getting paid in one way or the other, and it's under the table and it's tax free.
Yes.
So no matter what they say that you've done, whatever preposterous, I mean, people know you don't go and punish people for things that they're not even arrested for.
Due process.
But it's the money, it's the bribe, it's the bribe.
Yes. One thing that somebody that was one of the biggest perps in my life, right before they left, said, follow the money. Because I said, I don't know what's going on here. Why is all this ridiculous, surreal stuff going on? And got the little smirk, said, follow the money. And that was like one of the last things. And I thought, that's did you hear that on a movie or what's going on? But that's exactly what needs to happen, is to follow the money. And then basically, we have, and when I say we, the targeted individual community and the truth community, the people that are trying to get to the truth and show government corruption, not just what we've been enduring, but other government corruption, like some of the trafficking that I investigate, things that happened with me when I was a kid. All of this is coming together. I just got off track. And I do think that we are going to, we're already seeing some change. If you're really paying attention and not listening to CNN or just the mainstream news in general, if you're listening to people like this that are coming out and speaking about what's really going on, the uncomfortable truths, I'm really seeing some change, it happening. It's not going to be fast. Like you working for the NSA for so long, when change happened, it happened slow, like the ocean changing temperature. It's really, really slow. Like at our base, when I worked at the 144th Fighter Wing, that's this hat I'm wearing right now. I like it because it has a Q on it. But when I worked at the 144th Fighter Wing, they flew F-16s for the alert mission for years and years and years. And then they got some F-15s from Montana after a bunch of political stuff happened. And it took, I think, 10 years for that to happen. It could have happened in a year. But so I'm hoping that doesn't happen with this. And let's see, where should we go with this? I don't know. I've been talking about, well, now it's no secret that you and I both are Donald Trump fans. I love President Trump and what he is doing. Now, I'm not necessarily a Republican fan or a Democrat. Well, no, I don't really like. Anyway, I won't go there. I'm kind of a little more in the middle. I like to make my own decisions. I've gotten a lot more conservative over the last couple of years, but I just like, politics aside, I like what Donald Trump is doing in general with his executive order 13818. Talks specifically about government corruption, and I see this gang stalking program in that. I don't know if I'm just being hopeful, but when I read through that whole thing, I believe that it talks about some of this and that. I should have brought up the document. But then the executive order to the change, like a month and a half ago, to the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
That takes effect January 1st.
That takes effect January 1st, yes. And then they're sending all these people to Guantanamo. There's troop movement over to Guantanamo Bay, and there's a lot of money that's gone into Guantanamo Bay. And I keep waking up every morning, checking Twitter and Facebook, hoping that I'm going to see the faces of the people that are responsible for this targeting program on a plane or a boat over there. And then all of a sudden there aren't cars driving through town, swerving across, trying to hit me anymore. Because these people aren't getting their gift cards anymore. I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm being too hopeful, but excuse me. I don't know. What do you think about this whole thing?
I'm pretty hopeful. I mean, I basically search YouTube and try to go with people I think are good analysts and seem to be supporting each other. This analyst surmises something or another is going to happen, and then somebody else does as well. So they're kind of on the same page, and I find that they're right more than wrong. So I tend to research those people, and I really think that the government shutdown is really to kind of keep things quiet, because I think some of the main people are being picked up right now. I think what they've been declared as is human traffickers in the literal sense, and I think they're being picked up and taken to Gitmo. And I think when you start cutting the heads off the main snakes. You're going to scoop up some of the middlemen too. And then as you go down the line, like a snake will continue to wriggle and move even after the head's taken off. So even though I think a lot of the people who are responsible for the gang stalking are getting picked up now and will be in the next few weeks and months, we're not going to see it stop overnight.
No.
But I think and that's why I ask on my Facebook page, I ask people to report to me anytime that their targeting starts to slow down or actually stops, because I'd like to see how long it takes for the money and the orders to run out, because the snake is not going to have its head for long. And I credit Donald Trump, and I will repeat what I have listened to on YouTube, and I think is correct, that QAnon basically is a military intelligence group that saw the vast corruption that infiltrated our government over the last 2 or 3 presidents. And they basically said to themselves, look, we've got 2 choices. One, we stage a coup and remove these criminals, and that'll throw the entire United States into a total uproar. It'll scare the heck out of people. They won't know what's going on, even though we in military intelligence are seeing what's going on. And we know that our democracy is being destroyed from within. So we can either stage a coup, or we can go to somebody and have him or her run for the presidency, and find somebody who we think is brave enough to do so, to take on these people and try to correct things from within. And I think that they settled on Donald Trump. Now, he wasn't my first choice, but after I started listening to him, I said, years ago I voted for Ross Perot because I loved the fact that he was a businessman, and I thought, let's throw a monkey wrench in the spokes,
I couldn't vote. I was too young to vote, but I said that when I was a little kid. He's a businessman. Why he can run a big business, and he's successful. The United States is a business. Why don't we vote for him? But I didn't even. I have a confession to make. I did not vote for Donald Trump. I voted for the Libertarian Gary Johnson, and but I just kind of did it. I didn't know much about Trump. I just thought, here's this guy. He was on WWF stuff, and I knew he was successful. But then I really started listening to him, and I listened to his State of the Union address, and I stood up in my living room, and I was just clapping. I couldn't believe it. I said, that guy actually said something. He said words, not just, the words that mean something. He didn't say, we're going to change. You weren't left hanging going, well, what's the change? What are we going to do here? I don't get it. Donald Trump gets up there and he says what he's going to do, and then he does it. I love it. I love it. So, Anyway, I'm sorry I cut you off. And
no, that's all right. I mean, I was saying, people were criticizing him, and I would say, look, he's a wrench in the spokes.
Yep.
Because this bicycle is going over the cliff.
Yes.
Yep, so I'm going to vote for a wrench in the spokes any day, because I didn't like the Democrats, and I didn't like a heck of a lot of the Republicans, because I saw very little difference in them, and then the more, of course, I heard from him, I said, this could work. And then I started hearing about QAnon, and I said, what happened is that the military intelligence had a plan already in place.
Yep.
They went to Trump, they presented their case to him. He thought about it, I'm sure, because this involves his family and it endangers his family.
That was a big leap, yeah.
It's a big leap, and it's estimated he's lost over $1 billion from being president and not handling his businesses.
Yeah,
okay,
of his own money.
So,
went from 7 to 6, yeah, like that. So.
And so, I said, this sounds like it's working exactly the way these people claim that it's working, that he came in, but he came in with expertise they didn't have, because they were not business people. They had not had businesses in New York City for, 30 or 40 years, and they hadn't handled mafia, and they hadn't handled big-time criminal politicians. But he had. And he knew where all the bodies were buried. He knew the tactics. He knew everything about these people. So he gave value added to their military intelligence plans. So I've been very happy to see how these things have been carried out, because he came in knowing he had to tweak the laws to make sure that the laws were up to arresting these people and having them not escape.
Yep.
Okay, because if they had tried civilian law, we would have been in litigation for
20
decades.
years. Yeah. It would never happen. So I keep hearing military tribunal. And that, I think, personally, is the absolute only way that they could do this, because there's so many people out there. It's going to take the Air National Guard, the Army Guard, the Marine Reserves. That's usually who does this kind of stuff. And then they could bring in active duty and get these people. That's my dream. If I see a tank rolling down the road, I'm not going to be freaked out. I'm going to be down on my knees, thanking God.
I'm in agreement. It is going to freak people out.
Yeah.
For the people who aren't paying attention, it's really going to freak them out.
They're not going to know what's happening.
But one of the things that's interesting is, like we discussed, the manual for courts-martial has been amended, and they needed to amend it to make sure that the military could arrest civilians.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Because that's where the majority of the problem is, even though some of the military has been compromised. Okay? So we'll look at the fact that 3 days after 9/11, the Congress declared us to be in a state of war, and we've been in a state of war ever since. Okay? And when Trump came in December of 2017, he declared us also to be in a state of emergency due to rampant child trafficking. So under those two conditions, state of war and state of emergency, crimes committed in that situation can also be viewed as treason. And if you commit treason, then you can be arrested by the military and tried in a military tribunal. So he had to get all his ducks in a row to make sure that he could do what he wanted to do totally legally without being successfully challenged. And a military tribunal is going to take a fraction of the time to do away with these dirtbags.
No, it'll be quick. Those guys operate with precision. When I first realized I was in this targeting program, I was in for 15 years, and I traveled around a lot, and I saw how operations function, and I've never seen anything as impressive as the United States military, in my experience, operating in a mission. And when I first realized I was in this, that's the first thing I thought of is, this cannot be civilian. This can't be a group of people that are just doing this. There is no way. As my old commander, Sami Saeed, Colonel, he is the assistant to the Inspector General, or I believe, of the Air Force now, a 2-star general. But he was everything he talked about, laser focused, on time, perfect timing, and that's how this program operated how it operates with precision and timing and foresight. That there's got to be artificial intelligence that's used in this program that sends out, I think, and this is just my theory, but there's a lot of people that talk about that the artificial intelligence that's used to disseminate this information, because I can't picture a warehouse of 10,000 people all sending out messages to intervene in this many people's lives. I don't know.
I did read that there is a specific, I think, Army base in Texas where they send people to teach them the military precision in doing some of the gang stalking. So there is a central training area where they're sending these nitwits.
Wow.
And I have to thank Christy Kennedy for calling them the Idiot Brigade, which I really like. I really like that term. But, I mean, the FBI has gotten into training sheriffs and police chiefs to do it their way. And so these people are beholding to the FBI, which is more crooked than a dog's hind leg.
Yeah, and if they don't comply, then they don't get their federal funding. And then they say, well, I'm going to go ahead and circumvent the Constitution because we need funding and blah, blah, blah. And we need...
It's for the greater good.
Yeah, exactly. But then they can just see that, you know this and I know this. A lot of those departments are finding any way that they can to grow their organization. So they see also not just money, but growth. They go, oh, hey, we have 20 officers now. If we do, and I'm just saying officers, it could be any group, firefighters, EMTs, whatever is doing this. It's not all the guys on the ground floor, it's up management accepting that contract going, yeah, you know what? We'll take the federal funding. We need 30 more guys. We need 5 more units. We need this and that, and we'll take that. And then it just becomes their standard operating procedure. Well, this is how we do things now. and they forgot to read the Constitution, or they forgot what was in it, or don't care, and a lot of those people rose. They held their hand up and they swore to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And there's people that are doing that, and these guys that are responsible for this had no idea how many of us there were, and we're not going to put up with this anymore. So
yeah, I call them oath breakers. I mean,
they have,
in my view, they're going to have to get my trust or my respect again, because they've lost it. They've totally lost it.
Oh yeah, it takes a while for people that have gone through what you and I have gone through, and other targeted individuals, especially after it's, say somebody, say somebody's been targeted for 20 years. You can hardly trust anyone anymore. So it takes, in our network of people, it takes a while to build some trust. And there's a handful of people that I really, really trust. I mean, you are one of them, and I appreciate having some friends like that, because for a while it's total isolation, as you know. And I'm saying a lot of this stuff I'm saying, to let other people know, because there's people watching this from outside of the targeted individual community that are just like, what is this? What's going on? So, but yeah, it's good to finally have a group of friends that I can call up. Actually, there was something going on in New York. I saw everybody on Twitter saying, blue lights in New York, something's going on, mass event. And the first thing I did, I picked up the phone and I called Jason Goodman. And the thing I thought to myself was, man, I haven't been able to just pick up the phone and call a friend that I've been worried about in a while, because they're all gone. So this is good. Yeah. This is nice. Okay, let's see. I'm going to here. I want to put. I didn't make a thing for your Facebook page here, but I want to put your Twitter up on the screen here. You can't see what I'm doing on the on the screen here. So, but right now,
not right now.
Right now, oh yeah, if you pulled it up on a computer, you can see. But right now, I've got a picture of you with your dog, and I can see that you love your dog. Me too. How can you not like animal people? But this is Karen Stewart's website here, everybody. Biggerthansnowden.com, and
it's not my website.
That is not your website. You're on it. I'm sorry. I got that. Okay, good. I'm glad I got that clarified. Do you have a website, Karen?
I don't yet.
Okay. I'll help you build one anytime. If you want to make, I built mine in a day. I'll
appreciate
do it for you. I'd be glad to. Okay, we'll talk about that another time. But so Karen is on this website, biggerthansnowden.com. She's also a member of Targeted Justice, which was founded here in Arizona by actually a friend of mine and a guy named Richard Lighthouse, who was a former engineer that worked for NASA. And he explains a lot of the satellite technology that's involved in this targeting program. So, but this is Karen's Twitter at Karen _Cam S56. So you can visit her at Twitter. And then Karen, how do people find you on Facebook? Just Karen Melton Stewart?
Look for Karen Melton Stewart.
Okay, all right. So everybody go to that social media and follow her only on social media, not in person, please. We're tired of that.
Guys, that's just a quick bit there about the stalking and harassment in America, and how it's run over there by the fusion centers, and ex-policemen and ex-private A's, and an awful lot of the military are involved in it as well. I don't know much about the AI. That's what the sort of go down that way in America, seeing that it's run by artificial intelligence, or a mass computer or something like this here. I don't honestly know, guys. I'm not going to dismiss it. Because I don't know. I'm only listening to, now that's 6 years ago that there, but Michael Barden there, he had a video on not so long ago there about buying a house, seemingly that someone donated $17,000 to him, plus he got a loan of $2,000, so he had $20,000, and he bought a house, I think, in a rundown part of America, whatever it was, or I forget exactly where it was, but he seems to be doing okay at the minute. It's very hard for the targeted individuals to trust anybody, whether they're in America, England, fucking Africa, Spain or France, it doesn't matter where they're from, but it's it says it all there, basically. I know Ireland's not as big as America, but to do with the organised stalking and harassment, it is just as big as America. If you can, once it's got to do with that, it is because it basically came from there. That's the foundations of it, America. The stalking and harassment, and it branched off then into all different countries after that. So I don't know if you just want to listen to it. It's there anyway, guys. So basically, that's it, guys. I'll leave it at that because there's another at least 2 hours of this conversation. You know what I'm saying? And it sort of goes off. It goes off the topic for a while and then back, going off and on and stuff like that. It's, I wouldn't have the storage room for it anyway. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.